Okay, let's start today in child's pose. So let's start with child's pose, not a little differently. So more traditional, if it's comfortable for you. So bring the knees and the feet all the way together instead of big toes together and knees apart. Bring the knees all the way together and then sit back onto the heels, walk the hands forward, bring the forehead down. So few options for these child's poses. If this is not comfortable for whatever reason, you can open up the knees. But if you're comfortable with keeping the knees together, try that. You could also put a blanket behind the knees, a couple of blankets if you want more space there, and that will help you ease into the pose a little bit more. Just an option. Start to come to the breath. And with the breath in child's pose, because your face is so close to the mat, it's kind of nice to just lengthen each inhale a little bit longer than the one before it. And same thing with the exhale. And work your way into your breath rhythm for your practice. You can start to move the head side to side. Find center on the forehead. Then bring the head up, look forward at the hands, start to shift forward onto hands and knees and tuck the toes. You'll walk the hands back. So you're just coming into a seated toe tuck with the hips over the heels. And for most of us, you need to check the feet, the fourth and fifth toe tend to go a little haywire here. So just make sure they're pointing straight forward. So you're still squeezing the thighs together and it's almost like you're trying to roll the inner thighs down toward the mat. Sit up nice and tall, hug the belly in a little bit, keep the chest nice and open. And if your feet are tight, you're probably already getting some feedback there. See if you can hang in there. I want to open them up for today's practice a little bit and just for overall movement. Reach the arms forward, palms face up. Bring the right arm on top of the left arm, coming into eagle arms. So you can either just bring the backs of the hands together. If the fingers on the left hand touch the palm of the right hand, that's fine. And if this is all too much, you can bring the hands to the shoulders and just let the elbows rest on top of the chest. So take one of those options. Make sure the shoulders are going down and wide so they're not coming up toward the ears. Move the hands so that they're over the elbows. They want to come in toward the face. Make sure you're still breathing the way you were in your child's pose. And then your exhale can be pretty powerful here in terms of getting you to relax. So the longer the exhale is, the better you'll be at staying calm with everything happening at once. Reach the arms forward and we'll switch sides. Bring the left arm on top of the right arm. Take whatever option you did on the first side or what's available on this side. Keep squeezing the thighs together in and down. Bring the hands down to the mat, untuck the feet. You can tap the tops of the feet lightly to the mat. And then keep the knees together, but bring the feet out a little bit wider, just wide enough so that if you were to sit back between the feet, the hips would fit. And if you have a block might be nice. You don't need one if you don't have one. Move the calf muscle out and away so that there's plenty of room for the knees. Tops of the feet are flat down. They're not that wide, just enough for the hips to sit between the heels. And this is where you can put a block underneath you, lowest height, medium height, or tallest height. Rest the hands on the thighs, hug the belly in, open up the chest. So same upper body as we were doing before, same internal rotation of the thighs. Inner thighs are still rolling down toward the mat. Come to the breath. So this is hero's pose, Virasana. Then blink open the eyes, walk the hands forward to the mat so you're back to hands and knees. Separate the knees to hip width distance so they're not touching. And then turn the feet over to one side. Let's come to an easy cross-legged seat on our mat. We'll do some Sufi rolls. The hands on the knees, start to inhale forward. Doesn't matter which way you go. Just keep going in the same direction, taking these circles, inhaling forward, exhaling back. And then switch directions, go the other way. Come back to center, sit up tall, switch the crossing of the legs. So bring the other shin in front. And as you sit up tall, we'll do like cat cow here. So round the spine on the exhale, hang on to the knees. And on the inhale, lift the chest up. Keep going at your own pace. Exhaling rounds the back. Inhale to lift the chest up. Stay up next time you're there. And then come back to hands and knees. Tabletop. Walk the hands forward, bring the forehead down. So the hands are reaching way forward. Forehead comes down, hips over the knees. Open up across the shoulders and the chest. You could tent the hands coming up onto the fingertips. Try it. If it feels good, stay there. If it doesn't, come back to the hands down. Bring the palms down if they're not already. Look forward, walk the hands back a little bit. You're coming into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. So if the legs are tight or sore, widen them. Go wider than hip width distance, maybe closer to the edges of the mat, but that might be a little wide for some of us depending on your height. Can pedal out the feet if you want to. You can keep a bend in the legs if you want to. And then if you didn't already, widen the feet so you are in a wide-legged down dog. Walk the hands back toward the feet so you're at a wide-legged forward fold at the back of the mat. Turn the toes out, heels come in a little bit. Take Malasana, Yogi squat. Same thing. If you have a block and you want to put a block underneath the hips, you're welcome to. If it feels like it's too soon to come into this squat, and the heels are lifted, you can either put something underneath the heels, walk the hands forward, and just keep a nice long spine. So find your version of Malasana. Knees and toes in the same direction. So if you do have the heels down and the elbows inside the knees, it's a nice way to get the knees to go in the right direction, even though they want to cave in. Then bring the hands down to the mat, straighten the legs, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. So you're in a forward fold at the back of the mat. You can either clasp opposite elbows or you can interlace the fingers behind the back, which is a deeper shoulder opener. We did play with Garudasana arms, so your shoulders might be open enough for this, and Anahatasana. See what feels better. Let the head be heavy so the neck is nice and long. Then whatever you're doing, switch the clasp of the elbows or weaving of the fingers. Make sure the balls of the feet are heavier. Hips are going up toward the sky, unless you're keeping a bend in the legs. Hands come down to the mat. Walk the hands forward to downward facing dog. Glide forward to plank pose. Stack the shoulders over the wrists. Push the mat away from you. Fingers are spread evenly. Sometimes that pinky finger wants to go way out, so make sure it's spread the same way the rest of the fingers are. Keep reaching the chest forward. Hug the belly in a little bit. Fire up the legs. Come back to your Ujjayi breath even here. And if you feel any stress building in the body, then focus on the exhale, make it a little bit longer. And then where are the shoulders? Can you keep some space for the neck? Set the knees down onto the mat. Come all the way down onto your stomach. Tops of the feet come to the mat. Cobra. Just a little one. Exhale, release. 2 more of those. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Little different this time. Inhale up, cobra, as high as you want to go. Probably not that high. And then hover the hands. Keep hugging the outer elbows in and point them straight back. Look forward, but lengthen the back of the neck. Press into the tops of the feet. Bring the belly in a little bit so it's not pressing down into the mat. Then set the hands back down onto the mat. Lower the head, tuck the toes, back up to plank pose. Fire up the muscles in the body before you push yourself up. So you have that support to come up in one line. Hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Start to walk the feet forward, up between the hands. Forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold, step the left foot back, come into a runner's lunge. So reach the heart forward. You can kind of bob forward and back a little bit, adding a little bit more movement into your lunge. Maybe staying up on the fingertips or using blocks. Then find stillness in your lunge. Straighten the front leg, fold over the front leg. Inhale forward to your lunge. Set the back knee down, untuck the toes, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up for a twist. So hug that outer left hip in, make sure it's not relaxed, and then take some circles with this right arm. So reach the right arm back behind you, bring it up all the way back up to where we started, and do that 2 more times. So you inhale up, exhale down with the arm. Next time the hand comes down, bring it down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, extend the back leg, step the left foot forward to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, step the right foot back, runner's lunge. Reach the heart forward, maybe hands on blocks or fingertips, and you can start to go back and forth a little bit, finding a little bit of movement in this lunge. Straighten the front leg, fold over the front leg for your modified pyramid pose. Inhale forward to your lunge, set the back knee down, untuck the toes, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up, open the chest, keep that right hip engaged, and then take some circles with that left arm. So exhale to bring the arm down, reach it back up again, Couple more times. You can even follow the hand with your gaze. On that third cycle, when the hand ends up down by the mat, bring the hand to the mat. Tuck the back toes, extend the back leg, step the right foot forward, inhale up halfway, exhale, fold, inhale, circle the arms all the way up, bringing the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose. Lower all the way down to the mat slowly. Inhale up for cobra. Maybe a little higher this time. Exhale, release, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths in downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, hop, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Hands come together at the top, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Lower down halfway to chaturanga. Up dog if you want it. Otherwise, stick with cobra. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle the arms up. Bring the hands together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Lower down halfway on the exhale. Inhale up for your back bend. Nice wide chest, nice long neck. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Palms touch, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank. Lower down halfway. Inhale up. Exhale back. Right leg reaches up and back. Bring the knee to the nose. Hug it in, scoop the belly, round the upper back. See if you can get the foot up higher. Now step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Back in your runner's lunge, reach the heart forward. Start to rise all the way up to crescent pose. From crescent pose, you're going to keep the legs exactly the same, but on the exhale, we'll lean forward and bring the arms back. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. You might challenge your stability here a little bit, so you'll need that engagement in the core and the legs. Inhale, reach back up, crescent pose. Exhale, fold forward, bring the arms back behind you. Inhale, reach up, crescent pose. One more of those. Exhale, fold forward, reach back. Inhale, back up, crescent pose. Bring the hands down to the mat. Shift the weight forward, standing splits. So standing on the right leg, lift the left leg. Check out that right hip. Make sure it's right underneath you and it's not swinging out to the right. Left foot's gonna step behind the right foot. So you're coming into crossed ankle. The ankles are crossed, so pinky toe sides of the feet are together. So right foot in front. Walk the hands over to the right. Stay in that forward fold. Pull that left hip back a little bit. Walk the hands back to center. Step the left foot back to your lunge. Reach the heart forward. Plant the hands. Step back to plank pose. Vinyasa if you want it. Back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose. Spend some time here. Take your time rolling the shoulders forward, right over the wrist. See if you can get the foot up higher, then step the left foot forward. Come into your runner's lunge, reaching the heart forward. Legs nice and strong. Then rise up, crescent pose. On the exhale, bring the arms back behind you, hover the chest low. Inhale, reach back up. Nice slow breath. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, reach back up. Stay here, crescent pose. Hands come down to the mat. Standing splits. Shift forward, reach the right leg up. Check out the left hip. Get it over the left ankle. Right foot steps behind the left foot. Come up halfway onto the fingertips. Now walk the hands over to the left. Fold over. Walk it back to center. Step the right foot back to your lunge. Plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Take a vinyasa if you want to, back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, chair pose. In your chair pose, lift the heels up high. So you're coming up onto the balls of the feet. Feel how the legs have to turn on for that. And keeping the heels lifted, same thing we did before in our crescent, we'll take an exhale, bringing the arms back behind us. So go slow. Inhale, back up. If you lose your balance, it's totally fine. Do that again. Exhale, reach the arms back. Inhale, back up. Last time. Reach it back up. Set the heels down for your chair pose. Rise up to standing. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank pose. Take a vinyasa if you want one. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose. Step the right foot forward, up between the hands. Take that runner's lunge. Reach the heart forward. Rise up, crescent pose. Take an inhale in your crescent pose. Exhale, come forward, reach the arms back. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, come forward. Stay here. Keep reaching the chest forward. Warrior 3. Shift the weight forward. Bring that left leg so the heel's in line with the hip or somewhere near there. Make sure that left hip is not opening up to the side, but it's neutral, pointing down toward the mat. Bring the hands down to the mat, standing splits, left foot behind the right foot, back to that cross-legged stance we've been playing with. Then this time, start to round the spine, scoop the belly, slowly start to dangle the hands away from the mat. You're coming all the way up to standing with the legs crossed. So you kind of have to squeeze them together to do that. And then once you get there, reach the arms all the way up, clasp opposite elbows. Get as tall as you can. So you squeeze the thighs, you press down into the feet, you reach up. It's like you're pulling the elbows up and then over to the left. So you should feel a nice stretch in the whole right side of the body. Come back to center, reach the arms up, bring the arms down by the sides. Same way we came in. So a little bend in the knees, start to hug the belly in, round the spine to come back down. Hands come down to the mat. Left foot steps back to a lunge. Reach the heart forward. Plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose. Step the left foot forward. Feet hip width distance apart. Reach the heart forward. Crescent when you're ready. Exhale. Come forward. Hover over that front thigh as you bring the arms back. Inhale, back up, crescent pose. Exhale, come forward, hover. Inhale, reach up, crescent. Exhale, come forward, stay here. Keep reaching the chest forward, maybe look a little bit forward, shift the weight forward, warrior 3. Keep pressing that right foot away from you. Hands come down to the mat, standing splits. Right foot behind the left foot. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Start to hug the belly in, round the spine. Fingertips slowly start to lift away from the mat as you rise up to standing. But you're going slow, so you're not going that fast. And then once you get up to standing, reach the arms all the way up. Clasp opposite elbows the other way. Lift up as you press down through the legs and squeeze the thighs together. Start to lean over to the right. Keep the chest nice and open. Back through to center. Reach the arms up, down by the sides, little bend in the knees, hug the belly in, start to round the spine forward, dangling the hands back down to the mat. Once they touch, step the right foot back, runner's lunge. Hands down, back to plank pose, any way you want, to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Lift the heels up high, little different this time. Just focus on hugging those outer ankles in, hugging the belly in, keeping the inner thighs engaged. With the heels lifted, can you come up to standing? Just keep reaching up. Keep the heels as high as you can, squeezing those inner thighs together, squeezing the outer hips in toward the midline. Hug the belly in. We're coming back to chair with the heels lifted. Start to point the knees forward. Stay looking forward. Go slow. Keep the heels lifted. Once you get to chair, maybe you lift the heels up a little bit higher. Set the heels down, fold over the legs. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Take the vinyasa if you want it, skip it if you don't. Right leg lifts up and back, knee to nose. Step the right foot through. Reach the heart forward. Crescent when you're ready. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come forward nice and slow. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, reach up. This time, exhale, come forward. Stay here. Keep reaching the heart forward. Warrior 3. Shift the weight, lift the back leg, level off the hips. Keep reaching the heart forward. This time, we're coming into eagle pose. Start to bend the standing leg. Reach that left knee in toward the chest. Cross that left leg high over the right leg. Reach the arms forward. Left arm on top of the right arm. Garudasana. Squeeze everything together. Hug the belly in. Stay right here. If you feel like folding forward, reach the elbows beyond the knees as you fold over. Come up just halfway, and if you're staying up, just come down halfway. So keep those eagle arms, chest open. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Back to warrior 3 with eagle arms. Set that left foot down. Reach the arms all the way up, crescent pose. Then exhale, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back, knee to nose. Step the left foot forward. Runner's lunge, reach the heart forward. Rise up, crescent pose. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, come forward, arms back. Inhale, crescent. Exhale, come forward, reach the arms back. Inhale, come up to crescent pose. This time, exhale, come forward, warrior 3. Take your time, look forward a little bit, reach that right leg up and back. Eagle on this side. Start to bend the standing leg, hug the right knee in toward the chest, cross it high over the left leg, reach the arms forward, right arm on top of the left arm. Garudasana. Squeeze everything together. Option to fold forward, reaching the elbows beyond the knees. Wherever you are, come back to halfway. Keep the eagle arms, chest open, hug the right knee in, stretch it back to warrior 3. That whole leg, press the right foot away from you. Ball the right foot, lands down onto the mat, crescent pose. Reach the arms up. Hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose, vinyasa. Back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. This time, we're bringing the seat down to the mat. So, and go slow. Keep hugging the belly in, bringing the hips lower, reaching the arms up, eventually coming into boat pose. Legs can be bent, arms reach forward, chest points up toward the sky, so does the gaze. You look up. Then from here, Ardha Navasana. Hands can support you too, so you can bring them down. Otherwise, keep reaching forward. Interlace the fingers back behind the head. Bring the right knee in, twist to the right, bicycles. Extend the right leg back out. Bring the left knee in, twist to the left. Go side to side, nice and slow, so not too fast. And if it's hard to keep the legs extended, you can keep them bent in between cycles. So choose which one feels like the right challenge. Keep the elbows wide. Finish the last cycle that you're on. Reach the arms forward, Ardha Navasana. Back up, Navasana. Look up, chest up, maybe the legs straight. They don't have to be, just play with that if you want to. Then cross the legs, come up to standing, and you're coming into forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold back to chair pose. Lift the heels up high. Rise up to standing with the heels lifted high. Keep the arms up, keep the heels up. If they're not already, can you bring the feet together with the heels lifted? Then bend the knees, come back into your chair pose. Feet are together, heels lifted. Come all the way down so the heels and the hips connect, knees point forward. Hands come together right in front of the heart. So we're back in this toe tuck, we just got into it a different way. Twist to the right. So chest stays lifted, knees point forward, inner thighs squeeze together. You can stay right here. If you want to play with side crow, I'll talk you through it. Maybe you just go as far as you can. You'll still get something out of it. Hands come down to the mat. You want to shimmy this left arm as far down as you can. Hands are shoulder width distance apart. Fingertips are pointing toward the side of the mat. You look way forward. Heels are still lifted. You try to get to chaturanga arms, reaching the chest forward. And toes stay down for as long as you can. You'll feel the hips start to lift. You squeeze those inner thighs together and you kick the heels up as you reach the chest forward. Chaturanga arms, look forward as always. Spread the toes if you can. Then you'll come back to where you were. So you set the balls of the feet down, come back into that twisted toe tuck. Reach the arms up, come all the way back up to standing. Stand tall, set the heels down, bring the hands together, down in front of the heart. Then place the left hand on the heart, right hand on top of the left hand. Close the eyes. Stand here for a moment, feel the heartbeat. Then blink, open the eyes. We'll go through to the other side for this side crow. So feet are all the way together. Bring the arms down by the sides. Reach the arms up. Lift the heels up. So you're pressing down to the balls of the feet and the toes. Heels are lifted. Stay looking straight forward. Start to bend the knees. It's like you're coming down into chair, but we're going all the way down into our toe tuck. So you need that core, inner thighs hugging in. Take your time. Once you get there, hands come together. Twist to the left. And just stay here. Keep the knees pointing forward. Open the chest to the left. Should feel nice. Option to stay here or bring the hands down to the mat or the floor, whatever's there. See if you can get that right arm as low as possible so that the left knee comes up pretty high. And then you're still in your twist. So the knees are pointing forward, chest is pointing to the side, hands are about shoulder width distance apart. Look way forward, squeeze those thighs together, squeeze the core in, keep looking forward, chest reaches forward, come into chaturanga arms, and then you start to lift the feet. Think about kicking the heels up, spreading the toes. Nice open chest. Breathe. Set the feet back down, just the balls of the feet. Come back to that twisted toe tuck. Bring the hands forward. Reach up. Can you rise all the way back up to stand and keep the heels high? Set the heels down. Left hand on the heart, right hand on top of the left hand. Close the eyes. Smile however you want to, whether it's visible or not. Blink, open the eyes, arms down by the sides. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Vinyasa, back to downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back. Knee to nose. Step the right foot forward. Crescent pose. Exhale, come forward, hover over that front thigh. Inhale, back up, crescent. Exhale, come forward, hover. Inhale, back up, crescent pose. This time, exhale, come forward. Keep reaching the heart forward, warrior three. If you have the space, airplane arms. So bring the arms out wide. You know why we're doing this. Level off the hips. Smile if you can. Press that left leg away from you. Now reach the arms forward, staying in your warrior three. Hands down, standing splits. Left foot steps behind the right foot, crossing the ankles. Come up halfway. Walk the hands over to the right. Hands come back to center. Step the left foot way back. Set the back knee down. Untuck the toes. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up. So try not to let the left hip sink. Left shoulder away from the ear. Stay here, or right hand to the hip, or reach back with the right arm. Bend the left leg. See if the foot's there. You can come into a quad stretch. If it's not there, don't keep reaching back. Just bring the hand to the hip. You're still getting a hip opening that way. Gently release the foot if you have it. Right hand comes down to the mat. Let's take half splits. Shift the hips back. Reach the heart forward. Set the right foot back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes. Runner's lunge. Plant the hands. Step back to plank pose. Work your way through a vinyasa if you want one, or go straight to dog. Last side, left leg lifts up. Knee to nose. Left foot through. Crescent pose. Exhale, come forward, hover. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, come forward, hover. Inhale, rise up. This time, exhale, hover, look forward, keep reaching the heart forward, warrior three. Airplane arms. Reach the arms forward. Hands down, standing splits. Right foot behind the left foot, cross at the ankles. Come up halfway. Walk the hands over to the left. Let the head and the neck go. Walk the hands back to center, come up halfway, step that right foot way back, set the back knee down, untuck the toes, right hand underneath the right shoulder, lift the left arm up, coming into a twist. Options, left hand to the hip, bend the back knee, see if you can grab the foot. Gently release the foot if you have it. Left hand down to the mat, half splits. Shift the hips back, come up onto that front heel, push the heel forward, reach the heart forward. Left foot comes down to the mat, runner's lunge, reach the heart forward, tuck the back toes, plant the hands, step back to plank pose. Last vinyasa if you want one. Back to downward facing dog. Set the knees down onto the mat. Bring the feet over to the side so you can come to seated. We'll play with bridge pose today. Scoot yourself forward. If you're cooked, grab a block, or if it just sounds nice to do a restorative version of bridge, you're welcome to. Lie down onto the back, feet hip width distance apart. So before you get into it, same thing we were doing with the thighs at the very beginning of class. You're going to feel engagement in the inner thighs. You could even put a block between the inner thighs if you wanted to make sure that that's happening. But it's like you're trying to roll the inner thighs down toward the mat. So press into the feet. I'm going to do the block. That sounds good. Okay, squeeze the block if you have it. Lift the hips up. If you don't have a block, you know what it feels like. Squeeze it. Lift yourself up. Chest is spreading open. Maybe you interlace the fingers underneath you. Shoulders are pretty open. And then slowly start to bring the hips back down to the mat. If you're using a block, you can set it off to the side. Unless you're taking a restorative version and keeping the block under the hips, you can stay there the whole time we're doing back bends. So this time, feet hip width distance apart, press into the feet, lift the hips up. You can interlace the fingers underneath you if that's comfortable. Start to tuck the shoulders just a tiny bit so you can get some lift in the chest as you press the outer upper arms down. Then press down into the left heel as much as you can. Bring the right knee up and extend the right leg. So keep pressing down into that left heel to lift the right leg up. You can point the toes, you can flex them, get some activity in that foot. Then set the right foot back down onto the mat. Start to shift the weight over to the right heel. Lift the left knee, left leg comes up. Press into the right heel to lift the left leg up, point or floint the foot. Set that left foot back down to the mat. Come into your bridge pose with both legs even. And slowly release. Hips come back down to the mat. Let that go. Shift the hips over to the right. Bring the knees over to the left. Come into an easy spinal twist. Right arm comes out to the right. Gaze falls over that right arm. Switch sides, look up, bring the feet back down to the mat, scoot the hips over to the left, bring the knees to the right, spinal twist the other way. Look up, come back onto your back, feet on the mat, cross the right leg high up onto the left leg. So just like eagle legs, and then hug the knees in toward the chest. So you'll likely grab that bottom knee as you bring it in. And instead of lifting the hips up, you can keep them down as you bring the knees in. You can stay right here. Some of you might be comfortable with bringing the feet out wide, reaching forward for the outer edges of the feet or the ankles, coming into Gomukasana legs. Feet are flexed if you're taking this option. Then gently let go of the feet. You can hug the knees back into the chest with the right leg over the left leg. Set that left foot down onto the mat, right foot, and you'll switch sides. So left leg crosses high up over the right leg. Bring the knees in toward the chest. Just start here, see how it feels on this side. Maybe you play with bringing the feet out wide, reaching forward, grabbing the outer edges of the feet as you keep the feet flexed, ankles, whatever's there. If it's a struggle, just hug the knees in. Gently release the feet, hug the knees back in with the legs crossed. Set the feet back down onto the mat. If you have a block might be nice, but we're lifting the legs up. So if you don't have a block, you can do it just like this. If you do have a block, lift the hips up like you're coming into bridge pose, put a block underneath the hips, the sacrum, and you can start to lift the legs up. And there's still a lift in the chest if you're on the block. You can, it's almost like you're in bridge. Well, no, bridge is probably too much of an exaggeration, but there's a little bit of a lift across the chest as you're doing this with the block. And here you can point and flex the feet. You can roll the feet out, getting some movement in the ankles. So you don't have to be rigid when you're doing this. All we're doing is reversing the blood flow in the legs. So it is kind of fun to move the feet around a little bit in whatever way that feels good. We just want to keep the feet over the hips if we can. And then start to bring the toes down toward the face and the heels up toward the sky. So you get a little bit of a stretch in the legs. So we're taking some movement away. You can even spread the toes if you want to. And you'll start to bend the knees, bring the feet back down to the mat. If you have the block underneath you, lift the hips up, set the block off to the side, stretch the legs out in front of you, and we'll take fish pose. So you'll bring the hands underneath the hips, making like a diamond shape with the hands, just right underneath the hips, palms are down. You bring the elbows down, point the toes. Some of you can probably touch the toes to the mat. Then you lift the chest up and maybe the top of the head comes down to the mat. It's pretty deep. It's a throat opener. So you should feel that right away. And this is fish pose. Then you bring the chin in toward the chest, walk the feet in, release the hands, stretch the legs out in front of you, reach the arms overhead. And it's up to you. You can take Savasana from here. If you want to come up and do a seated meditation, roll over to one side, come to your seat. Either way, close the eyes. Take a moment to get yourself set up to close your practice, which either option is just coming into a state of being. All that movement to get to this stillness where you find peace, comfort, and back home within yourself. A couple of minutes here. I'll let you know when it's time to come out. If you're in Savasana, start to come back to the breath, back into the body, and stretch the arms overhead. Hug the knees in toward the chest. Roll on over to your right side. Use the hands to bring yourself up to an easy cross-legged seat, sitting up nice and tall. Let's bring the hands together. Bow the head to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up. Blink open the eyes. Namaste. If you're in your seated meditation and you want to keep going, turn me off. Keep going. And enjoy the rest of your day.